Welcome to my YouTube channel. Myself Ujjal Baro. So this is the part 3 video on environmental study. So in this video I'm going to discuss about the human and environment interactions, anthropogenic activities and their impacts on environment. So these are the content I'm going to discuss in these lectures. First is the major anthropogenic activities, pollution, different types of environmental pollutants, classification of particulate matter, air pollutions, definitions, its concept, major air pollutants, sources of air pollutions, indoor air pollutions, types of indoor air pollution, control measure for indoor air pollution, health impacts of indoor air pollutions, then outdoor air pollutions impacts on people and environment, then global environmental crisis. So let's discuss. So major anthropogenic activities. Anthropogenic activities refers to actions and processes that are derived from human behavior and impact the natural environment. These activities often lead to changes in ecosystem, climate and biodiversity through the alterations of natural landscape, pollution, resource extraction and other environmental modifications. Anthropogenic activities have a profound impact on the environment, influencing climate change, biodiversity, air and water quality and overall ecosystem health. So in this table you are given different types of anthropogenic activities, then their environmental impacts. So let's discuss one by one. So first, anthropogenic activities is the industrialization. So industrializations involves the mass productions of goods and energy through factories, power plants and other facilities. This process typically result in the emissions of large quantities of greenhouse gases, that is GHGs, such as carbon dioxide and methane, which contribute significantly to global warming and climate change. Additionally, industrial process can release pollutants into the air and water, causing health problem and environmental degradation. So environmental impacts of industrializations are air and water pollution, greenhouse gas emissions, habitat destructions, global warming, climate change. Then the agricultural activities, particularly intensive farming, impact the environment through deforestation, soil degradations and the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. The clearing of forest for agricultural land leads to habitat loss and a decrease in biodiversity. Chemical runoffs from fertilizers and pesticides contaminate water bodies, affecting aquatic life and water quality. Okay, furthermore, livestock farming produces methane, a potent greenhouse gas, etc. Okay, so the impact of anthropogenic activities are, you can see in this table, that there are soil degradations, water pollution, biodiversity loss, etc. Then the deforestation. So by the definition, deforestation, the large-scale removal of forest, is primarily driven by the need for agricultural land, timber and urban development. Forest acts as a carbon sinks, absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The removal not only release stored carbon but also reduces the planet's capacity to absorb future emission. Deforestation also leads to the losses of habitats for countless species, contributing to biodiversity losses. So these are the major environmental impacts of deforestation, that are habitat destructions, loss of biodiversity, soil erosion, climate change, etc. Then the urbanization. So urbanizations involves the expansions of cities and towns, often at the expenses of natural landscape. This process results in habitat fragmentation, increased pollution and higher energy consumption. Urban areas produce significant amounts of waste and emissions, contributing to air and water pollutions. The increase in impervious surfaces such as roads and buildings leads to changes in local hydrology, exacerbating flooding and reducing groundwater resource. Okay, so the environmental impacts of urbanizations are habitat fragmentation, increased waste, and then pollution. Then the transportation. So the global transportation sector, which includes cars, trucks, ships, trains, and airplanes, is a major source of greenhouse gas emission and air pollutants. Combustion engines in vehicle emit carbon dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, and particulate matter, contributing to air quality degradations and climate change. Additionally, transportation infrastructure such as roads and airports often leads to habitat fragmentations and land degradations. So, environmental impacts of transportations are air pollution, greenhouse gas emissions, habitat disruptions, etc. Then the mining and extraction. Mining and extractions activities including oil drilling, coal mining, and metal ore extraction have profound environmental impacts. These activities can result in habitat destruction, soil erosion, and contaminations of soil and water bodies with heavy metal and toxic chemical. The extractions process also release methane, a potent greenhouse gas, particularly in the case of coal mining and the natural gas extraction. So the environmental impacts of mining and extractions are habitat destructions, then water pollutions, and then soil erosion. And then fishings and marine activities. So overfishings and destructive fishings particles such as trawling have led to the depletions of fish stocks and damage to marine ecosystem. Coral reefs, which are vital to marine biodiversity, are particularly affected. Marine pollutions from ships including oil spills and discharge of ballast water also poses significant threats to the marine life and habitat. So the main environmental impacts of fishing and marine activities are overfishing, habitat destructions, pollutions, etc. Then the waste generations and disposal. So the increasing generations of waste, particularly non-biodegradable plastics, poses serious environmental challenges. Improper waste management, including open dumping and inadequate recycling, leads to soil and water pollutions. Landfills produces methane, a greenhouse gas, as organic waste decomposes anaerobically. Plastics in the environment break down into microplastics, which can enter food chains and impacts wildlife and human health. So the major environmental impacts of waste generations and disposals are landfills, soil contaminations, water pollutions, etc. Then the energy production. So energy production, energy production especially from fossil fuel like coal, oil, and natural gases is a significant source of greenhouse gas emission. Power plants and industrial facilities emit large quantities of carbon dioxide and other pollutants, contributing to air pollutions and climate change. Hydroelectric dams, while renewable, can disrupt local ecosystem and displace communities. Nuclear energy poses challenges related to radioactive waste disposal. So the main environmental impacts of the green energy productions are the greenhouse gas emissions and then air and water pollutions. Then tourism's also a major anthropogenic activities which impacts on environment. So mass tourism contributes to environmental degradations through the constructions of resource infrastructure development and increased waste generations. Popular tourist destinations often face pressure on natural resources such as water and energy. Tourism can also lead to habitat disturbance and increased carbon emissions from travel. So the main impacts of the tourism on environment are the habitat destructions, pollution, resource depletion, etc. Then the land use changes. So it is changes in land use such as converting wetlands to agricultural or urban areas have significant environmental impacts. Wetlands are crucial for biodiversity, water purifications, and flood control. Their conversions results in habitat losses, increased flooding risks, and reduces water quality. So you can see the environmental impacts of the land use changes, that are habitat destructions, water pollution, soil degradation. So here in this video I'm going to discuss the major impacts, that is the pollutions. uh, I'm going to discuss broadly about the pollution. Air pollution. Okay, so pollutions means is any undesirable changes in the physical, chemical, and biological properties of air, water, or soil that adversely affects the health of plants and animals. Pollutants are substances that cause pollutions and are added to the environment through human activities. These pollutants can accumulate in water, soil, and air and negatively affects their quality. So obviously define pollution as undesirable in physical, chemical, and biological characteristics of the air, land, and water that may harmful effects on human life and other desired species. Then pollutants are substances that cause pollutions and are added to the environment through human activities. We are going to discuss broadly about the pollutants in the coming slide. So different types of pollutions are air pollutions, water pollutions, soil pollutions, thermal pollutions, radioactive pollutions, noise pollutions, light pollutions, and marine pollutions. In the coming video I am going to cover all these uh, types of pollutions, that are water pollution, soil pollution. Okay, don't worry. Then the different types of environmental pollutants. So the slide is titled different types of environmental pollution. It classifies pollutants based on various criteria. Okay, so based on the phase, okay, pollutants are divided into 4 categories based on their physical state. So that's are solid. It includes material like metals, plastics, wood, leaves, human waste, and animal waste. Then the liquid includes substances like oil and other petroleum products like gasoline, diesel, kerosene. Then human and animal waste and chemicals like acid, bases, etc. Then the gaseous includes gases like hydrogen sulfide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, nitrogenous gases, NOx, and sulfurous gases, SOx. Then biological includes biological entities like pollen, bacteria, fungi, worms, and viruses, etc. And then based on the form in which they persist, pollutants are categorized into 2 types, that are primary pollutants and then secondary pollutants. So primary pollutants that are emitted directly from a source. Then secondary pollutants that form in the atmosphere through chemical reactions involving primary pollutants. Then based on existence in nature, these are also classified into 2 types, that are the quantitative pollutants, then the qualitative pollutants. So quantitative pollutants, these are pollutants that are already present in nature but become harmful when their concentrations exceeds a certain threshold. Then the qualitative pollutants, these are the pollutants that are not necessarily present in the environment and are introduced by human activities. So again, on the basis of disposal, pollutants can be categorized based on how they are disposed, So there are 2 main categories, that are biodegradable pollutants and non-biodegradable pollutants. So biodegradable pollutants, these are pollutants that can be broken down by natural process. They are further divided into 2 categories, that are rapidly degradable or non-persistent pollutants. These pollutants break down quickly and don't remain in the environment for a long time. An example might be food waste. Okay, slowly degradable or persistent pollutant. These pollutants take a long time to break down and can remain in the environment for many years. For example, might be certain types of plastics. Okay, then the non-biodegradable pollutants. These are pollutants that can be broken down by natural process. They remain in the environment indefinitely. For example, includes metals like mercury and lead. Okay, so in this slide, all about this, and then the classifications of particulate matter. So particulate matter may be classified under the following headings, that are dust. This is a large solid particle, 100 micrometer, carried into the air. Then a fume, solid particle, frequently metallic oxides formed by condensations of vapors from a chemical reactions process or physical separation process. These particles are typically between 0.03 to 0.3 micrometer in diameter. Then mist liquid, it is a liquid particles formed by condensations of vapors or chemical reactions. Then the smoke, solid particle formed as a result of incomplete combustion of carbonaceous materials. Typical diameter is between 0.5 to 1 micrometer. And then spray. So it's a liquid particle formed by the atomization of a parent liquid. So these are the classifications of particulate matter. Then the definitions of air pollution. So first, meaning of air pollution. Air pollution occurs due to the presence of undesirable solid or gaseous particles in the air in quantities that are harmful to human health and the environment. Air may get polluted by natural causes such as volcanoes, which release ash, dust, sulfur and other gases, or by forest fires that are occasionally naturally caused by lightning. However, unlike pollutants from human activities, naturally occurring pollutants tend to remain in the atmosphere for a short time and do not lead to permanent atmospheric change. So definitions given by the World Health Organizations, that air is polluted when one or several pollutants are present in the atmosphere at such a concentrations and for so long a time that they are harmful to man, animals, plants or material property, cause harm or reduce well-being or disturb appreciably its applications. So let's break down. According to the World Health Organizations, air pollution happens when harmful substances called pollutants are present in the air. These pollutants can be dangerous if they are in high amounts and for a long time. They can harm people, animals, plants and buildings, reduces our well-being or interfere with how we use the air. So let's imagine to understand these definitions. There's a factory in a city that releases a lot of smoke into the air. This smoke contains pollutants like sulfur dioxide and carbon monoxide. So it can harm people, it can harm to animal, it can harm plants, it can damage material property, it can reduce well-being, it can disturb applications. Okay. Then the definitions given by the NSW protections. So any deviations from the natural combinations of gases in our atmosphere. So this means any charge from the usual mix of gases that make up the air around us. However, the definition does not explain that we need to consider the natural combination of gases as dry air at sea level. Okay, so dry air at sea level refers to the standard mix of gases like nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide without any moisture, measured at the height of the sea where land meets the ocean, then the reason we need to define it this way is that the compositions of air changes with altitude and location. So altitude is this means the height of above sea level. Because of these changes, we can precisely define what pure air is, as it varies depending on how high you are and when you are. So this also means that air pollution could theoretically occur if certain gases are removed from the atmosphere, not just when harmful substances are added. So to understand these definitions, imagine you are at the beach right at sea level. The air you breathe there is considered pure air by this definition. Now if you travel to the top of a mountain, the air composition changes because the altitude is higher. There's less oxygen and more other gases because of the changes in altitude. This means that pure air at the beach is different from pure air on the mountain. So additionally, if we took out some gases from atmosphere like oxygens, it could also be considered air pollution. For example, if a factory removes a lot of oxygens from the air, it changes the natural combinations of gases causing pollutions even do nothing harmful was added. Okay, so then the concept of air pollution we have already discussed. So let's discuss the different types of pollutants. These are primary pollutants, secondary pollutants, tertiary pollutants, then the particulate pollution, particulate matter. Okay, so primary pollutants, based on the natures of pollutants, air pollutants is categorized in the following types. Okay, so primary pollutants, pollutants that are emitted directly from identifiable sources. I have already discussed it. So produced both by natural events, for example dust storms and volcanic eruptions, and human activities, emissions from vehicles, industries are referred to as primary pollutants. There are five primary pollutants that together contribute about 90% of the global air pollutions. That are the carbon oxide, you can see in this slide, the nitrogen oxides, sulfur oxides, volatile organic compounds, then suspended particulate matter. Then the secondary pollutant. Not all of the pollutants found in the atmosphere are the direct result of emissions. Many of the substances found in the atmosphere that are regarded as pollutant arises from chemical reactions in the atmosphere with other substances or light. Chemical reactions that require light in order to proceed are referred as photochemical reactions. Those substances that are not directly emitted into the atmosphere but rather are formed by chemical reactions in the atmosphere are referred to as secondary pollutants. Acid rain is a form of a secondary pollution because it results from processes occurring within the atmosphere after primary pollutants such as sulfur dioxide are emitted from exhaust stacks on other sources. Then the tertiary pollutants is a form when primary and secondary pollutants combine in the atmosphere. This type of pollutants is more hazardous in nature. For example, smoke it is formed due to by adding fog, smoke, sulfur dioxide, and nitric oxides. Cities like Beijing, London, Hong Kong face the problem of smoke every year during winters. Then the particulate matter. So particulate matter is also known as particle pollutions, or PM, is a complex mixtures of extremely small particle and liquid droplets. Particulate matter is made up of a number of components including acids such as nitrates and sulfates, organic chemicals, metals, and soil or dust particles. Particulate pollutions are grouped into two types based on the size of the particles. That are inhalable coarse particle are larger than 2.5 micrometer and smaller than 10 micrometer in diameter. Then the fine particles less than 2.5 micrometer in diameter. So now let's discuss the next slide. So this image illustrates the classifications of air pollutants into primary and secondary pollutants that I have already discussed. So the image uses arrows to depict the emissions of primary pollutants from various sources and their transformations into secondary pollutants. These visualizations helps to understand the complex interactions and pathways through which pollutants are released and formed in the atmosphere. These comprehensive illustrations aid in grasping the direct and indirect contributions to the air pollutions and the importance of controlling both primary and secondary pollutants to improve air quality. So primary pollutants are substances that are emitted directly into the atmosphere from a source I have already discussed. So the images show several sources and the primary pollutants that emit. So aeroplane emit carbon monoxide and nitrogen dioxide. Then the agriculture emits ammonia, that is NH3, and particulate matter. Then the wildfires emit carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and volatile organic compounds. Then factories emit sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, and particulate matter. Then the vehicle exhaust emit carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, hydrocarbon, and particulate matter. Then the power generations emit sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, carbon dioxides, and then particulate matter. Okay, so then the secondary pollutants are not emitted directly. Instead, they from when primary pollutants interact with each other in the atmosphere. So the images show several secondary pollutants and their formations. Okay, so these are the secondary pollutants you can see that are sulfur dioxide forms from sulfur dioxides in the atmosphere, and then the nitric acid, that the formula of nitric acid is HNO3, forms from nitrogen oxides, that is NOx, in the atmosphere. Then the sulfuric acids H2SO4 forms from sulfur dioxide SO2 in the atmosphere, and then hydrogen peroxide, that is H2O2, forms through chemical reactions involving volatile organic compounds and other pollutants. Then the ammonium NH4 plus, okay, so forms from ammonia NH3 in the atmosphere. Then the ozone forms from nitrogen oxides, NOx, and volatile organic compounds in the atmosphere. Then the particulate matter can form from gaseous emissions through chemical reactions in the atmosphere. Okay, so these are the secondary pollutants, primary and secondary pollutants. So this is also a mind map for the types of pollutants. These are particulate pollutants. These are fine particles, metals, soil or dust particles, organic chemicals, acids, nitrates, sulfates, etc. Then inhalable coarse particles. These are metal, organic chemical, soil or dust particles, acids, nitrates, sulfates. Then the secondary pollutants, ozone, I have already discussed, peroxide, ethyl nitrate, that is PAN, acid rain, etc. Then the primary pollutants, sulfur dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons, carbon monoxides, nitrogen oxides, etc. Then the tertiary pollutants, smoke. Okay. Then the major air pollutants. So the table categorizes major air pollutants into sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, and the carbon oxides, providing detailed sources and associated health hazards. So sulfur dioxide produces mainly from fossil fuel combustion especially coal. It can cause respiratory problems and aeration. So sulfur dioxide is a corrosive gas that can remain in the atmosphere for several weeks. It accounts for about 18% of all air pollutions. Estimated annual emissions are about 65 million tons, primarily produced from the combustions of fossil fuel. Then major contributors include coal fire power stations, etc. Coal combustions is the largest contributor, especially in the United States, where it accounts for about 60% of sulfur dioxide emissions, also formed naturally by volcanic activity. Okay, so health hazards reacts with moisture in eyes, lungs, and mucous membranes to form strong irritating acid. Then they can cause respiratory problem, irritations, and damage to building materials. Then the nitrogen oxides. The chemical formula for nitrogen oxides is NOx. Okay, so sources a group of gases made up of varying amounts of oxygen and nitrogen molecules. Major gases include nitrogen oxide and nitrogen dioxide, produced when fossil fuel are burned at high temperatures, also formed naturally by lightning strikes. In urban areas, a significant source is exhaust emission from vehicle, accounts for about 6% of air pollution. Then the major health hazard is increase the likelihood of respiratory problems by inflaming the lining of the lungs, reduces immunity to lung infections, can cause wheezing, coughing, colds, flu, and bronchitis. Then carbon monoxide, produced by both natural and anthropogenic sources. Carbon monoxide is a major atmospheric pollutant with health implications. Carbon monoxide is produced when carbon-based fuel is burned, such as in automobile exhaust, cigarette smoke, and burning coal, natural gas, biomass, solid waste disposal, and agricultural burning. Accounts for more than 50% of atmosphere uh, carbon monoxide. Health hazard can cause headaches, dizziness, draw swings, and related symptoms. Excess carbon monoxide can lead to heart failure. About 11% of heart failure are caused by excess carbon monoxide. Then the particulates, then the hydrocarbons, then the oxidants, then acid depositions, synthetic compounds, radioactive substances. So let's discuss one by one. So particulates refers to very small solid or liquid particles in the air. These particles can be of natural origin, such as pollen or sea spray, or man-made dust, fume, and soot. They vary in size, geometry, chemical compositions, and physical properties. Natural sources: pollen, sea spray; man-made sources: dust, fume, soot from industrial activities. Then the health hazard of the particulates are known to cause a variety of illness, including lung cancer and respiratory disorders such as emphysema and asthma. Then provide a reactive surfaces for gases and vapors in the formations of secondary pollutants. Then the hydrocarbons. So a wide variety of carbon-based gases. It's a wide variety of carbon-based gases including methane and benzene. It is emitted from fossil fuel combustion from automobiles, home heating, and industries, especially when burning is incomplete. So health hazards are, as a primary pollutant, they are a major health hazard, contribute to the formations of secondary pollution because they act as a precursor to oxidants such as ozone. Then the oxidants, it is a variable mixtures of secondary pollutants commonly associated with photochemical smoke in major urban areas formed by the reactions of solar radiations by hydrocarbons and nitrogen oxides from automobiles and industry. Health hazard pose health risks ranging from eye irritations to cancer. Ozone is one of the chief oxidants. Then the acid deposition. So various oxides led by sulfur dioxides and nitrogen oxides combine with water vapor and precipitations to lower the pH of atmospheric moisture. Emissions from industrial activities, vehicle, hail hazard participated on the land oxides lower pH levels in fresh water, eliminating many species from ecosystem in lakes and streams, can cause respiratory problems and skin irritations in humans. Then the synthetic compounds. It is a wide variety of manufactured organic compounds such as chlorofluorocarbon, DDT, PCB and dioxins. It occurs in both gaseous and particulate forms from industrial process. So health hazards is enter the atmospheric via combustitions and wind erosion, known to be causes of various disorders like cancer. Then the radioactive substances. So particles such as ash from coal burning, gases such as radon and waste from nuclear operations emit harmful radiations. Coal burning, nuclear operations and natural sources like radon, health hazard cause cancer and genetic alterations in human and other organisms. So these are the major air pollutants that I have discussed in the last two slide. Okay. So next, the sources of air pollutions. So according to Phelan and sources of air pollution, there is not any society that does not discharge pollutants into atmosphere. The questions, however, is how much and what type. Both developed and developing countries are major contributors to air pollutions, but not equally so. The main sources of air pollutions in developed countries include motor vehicle, power plants, and industrial plants. Most pollution results from the combustions of fossil fuel, which emits carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, particulate and hydrocarbons, while as developing countries emit large amounts of traditional pollutants such as carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides. Developing countries are becoming major centers of urban pollutions and source of technological pollutants such as insecticide residues used in agriculture and disease control. So Phelan classified the sources of air pollutions that are natural sources, anthropogenic sources, secondary sources. So natural sources are the natural processes such as volcanoes, lightning, storms, etc. So fell in this. These are the natural sources. Then the anthropogenic sources, human activities constitute man-made or anthropogenic sources. Then secondary sources, the processes of formations of pollutants in atmosphere due to the reactions of natural and man-made pollutants are secondary sources. Okay. Then the further also he classified stationary sources and mobile sources. So stationary sources are homes, factories, power plants. Then the mobile sources are vehicles, trains, aircraft, ships, tractors, etc. Then again further subdivisions of pollutants that is given by the Phelan and Phelan. That's are indoor pollutant sources such as kitchens, outdoor pollutant sources, the sources outside the homes, point sources highly localized such as power plants, factories, disturbed sources such as agricultural operations in cities, local sources such as power plants, global sources dust, soil, biological processes, volcanoes, inorganic sources like soils, then the organic sources, agricultural process, etc. Then the indoor air pollution. So in indoor air pollution refers to the contamination of the air inside buildings by chemical, biological and physical pollutants. These contaminations can lead to the health problems for the people inside. So the four element involved in indoor air pollution. These are source. This refers to the origins of the pollutants. Then HVAC, that is heating, ventilations and air conditioning system, can spread pollutants if they are not well maintained or designed properly. Then pollutant pathways, these are the roads through which pollutants move and spread within the building, like air ducts or open windows. Then the occupants, the people inside the building, can contribute to and be affected by indoor air pollution through their activities and presence. So a number of factors associated with indoor air have its impact on quality, indoor air quality. So let's discuss. Inadequate ventilations and properly designed ventilation system. If a building does not have proper ventilations, pollutants can accumulate inside, leading to poor air quality. Then flow of outdoor air contaminations into internal spaces. Pollutants from outside can enter the building through windows, doors and ventilation system, affecting indoor air quality. Then extreme of temperatures and humidity leaves, very high or very low temperatures and humidity levels can affect how pollutants behave and spread indoors. Then combustion activities like cooking, smoking or using fireplaces can release pollutants into the air. Use of cleaning products, paints, printers, pesticides and other VOC, that is volatile organic compounds generating products. Many household and office products emit volatile organic compounds and other pollutants, contributing to indoor air pollution. Okay. Then the types of indoor air pollution. This table represents detailing the type of indoor air pollution, their origins and example of pollutants. The table categorizes indoor air pollutants into three types, that is biological, chemical and particle pollutants. Each type has distinct origin and includes various examples. So biological pollutants, these come from living organisms or thereby products and typically originate from inadequate maintenance and moisture issues. Then chemical pollutants, these originate from products and material used within buildings, including accidental spills and emissions from everyday items like cleaners and furnishings. Then particle pollutants, these consist of tiny solid or liquid particles suspended in the air, often originating from constructions, manufacturing process and everyday activities within buildings. Okay, so let's discuss one by one. So biological pollutants, so it origin inadequate maintenance and housekeeping, origin from inadequate maintenance and housekeeping, water spills, condensations, inadequate humidity levels, flooding through leaks. For example, bacteria, fungi, viruses, molds, pollen, animal hair, dander and excrement, etc. Then the chemical pollutant, origin from products used in building, furniture, floor and wall covering, building material products, accidental chemical spills. For example, solvents, adhesives, fuels, cleaners, various combustions by products and emissions from furnishings and floor and wall covering, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, nitrogen dioxide, benzene, hydrogen peroxide, toluene. Then the particle pollutants, so origin derived from dust, construction activities, printing, photocopying, manufacturing process, smoking, combustion and some chemical reactions. This is also produced by activities that occur in buildings such as construction, sanding wood or drywall, painting, copying and operating equipment. So example, dust, smoke, mist, fume and condensate, sand dunes, aerosol, salt spray, etc. Then the control measure for indoor air pollution. There are three basic strategies to improve indoor air pollution, air quality. That's are source control, ventilation improvements, air cleaners. So source control usually the most effective way to improve indoor air quality is to eliminate individual sources of pollutions or to reduce their emissions. Some resources like sources like those that contain asbestos can be sealed or enclosed. Others like gas stoves can be adjusted to decrease the amount of emissions. In many cases, sources control is also a more cost efficient approach to protecting indoor air quality than increasing ventilations, because increasing ventilations can increase energy cost. Then the ventilation improvements. Another approach to lowering the concentrations of indoor air pollutants in our homes or your homes is to increase the amount of outdoor air coming indoors. Most home heating and cooling systems, including forced air heating systems, do not mechanically bring fresh air into the house. Opening windows and door or operating window or attic fans when the weather permits, or running a window air conditioner with the fan control open increases the outdoor ventilation rate. Local bedroom or kitchen fans that exhaust outdoors remove contaminants directly from the room where the fan is located and also increase the outdoor air ventilation rate. Then the air cleaners. There are many types and sizes of air cleaners on the market, ranging from relatively inexpensive tabletop models to sophisticated and expensive whole house system. Some air cleaners are highly effective at particle removal, while others, including most tabletop models, are much less so. Air cleaners are generally not designed to remove gaseous pollutants. Okay, so these are the control measures for indoor air pollution. Then the health impact of indoor air pollutions. So this tables mainly outlines the health impacts of various indoor air pollutants. It categorizes each pollutants by type, the type of impacts, their immediate or cumulative, and the associated health impacts of disease. Okay. So cumulative means nothing. It is the health effects build up over time with prolonged exposure. Then the immediate, it is the health effects appear soon after exposure. So let's discuss one by one pollutant types. The first one is the nitrogen dioxide. Type of impact is immediate. Health impact causes irritations to the skin, eyes and throat and can lead to coughing. Then the carbon monoxide. Type of impact is immediate. Health impact causes headaches, soreness of breath, and higher concentrations can lead to the sudden death due to the impaired oxygen delivery to the body. Then the RSPM. The full form of RSPM is respirable suspended particulate matter. This is a type of impact, cumulative impact. Health impact leads to respiratory illness, including both upper and lower respiratory tract issues, acute and chronic asthma. Then the COPD, that is the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and lung cancer, etc. Then the volatile organic matter. This is a type of impact is immediate. Then the health impacts are affects the liver and kidneys, causes irritations to the eyes, nose and throat, and can lead to skin rashes and respiratory problems. Then the pesticides. Types of impacts are immediate. Health impacts can cause skin disease. Then the ozone type of impact are immediate. So health impacts are causes itching and burning of the eyes, respiratory disorders and lower resistance to cold, and pneumonia. So pneumonia is an infection that inflames the air sacs in one or both lungs, causing symptoms like cough, fever, and difficulty breathing. So inflame means to cause swelling, redness, heat, and pain. Then the sacs, that is SSCS, refer to the alveoli, which are tiny air-filled spaces in the lungs where the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. Okay. Then the sulfur dioxide. So I have discussed many times about the sulfur dioxides. The type of impacts is immediate. It can cause lung disorders and shortness of breath. Then the formaldehyde type of impact is immediate, uh, causes irritations to the eyes, nose, and throat, fatigue, headaches, skin allergies, and vomiting. Then the asbestos type of impact is cumulative. Health impacts is leads to lung cancer. Then the benzenes type of impact is immediate. Health impact cause acute myeloid leukemia. So myeloid leukemia is a type of cancer that affects the myeloid line of blood cell. It involves the rapid growth of abnormal white blood cells that accumulate in the bone marrow and interfere with the productions of normal blood cells. And the xenotoxicity. Xenotoxicity is nothing but it is a damage to genetic information. Then the naphthalene. The type of impact is immediate. It can causes inflammations. Inflammation is the body responses to injury, infections, or harmful stimuli. It is a complex biological process involving immune cells, blood vessels, and molecular mediators. Inflammation can be acute or chronic. Okay. Then the PAH. So PAH is stand for polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. The type of impact is immediate. It can lead to lung cancer. Then the radon type of impacts is immediate. Health impacts cause lung cancer. Then trichloroethylene type of impacts is immediate. Health impacts known for its carcinogenic properties. Carcinogenic property it is a property that causes cancer. Then the outdoor air pollution. So outdoor air pollution is a large and increasing as a consequence of the inefficient combustion of fuel for transport, power generations, and other human activities like home heating and cooking. Combustion process produce a complex mixture of pollutants that comprises of both primary emissions such as diesel, soot, particles, and lead, and the products of atmosphere transformation such as ozone and sulfate particles. Urban outdoor air pollution is estimated to cause 1.3 million deaths worldwide per year. Children are particularly at risk due to the immaturity of their respiratory organ system. Those living in middle income countries disproportionately experience this burden. Exposure to air pollutants is a large beyond the control of individuals and requires actions by public authorities at the national, regional, and even international level. So major sources and effects of outdoor air pollutants is given in this table. So let's discuss one by one. That is the first one is the sulfur dioxide. So sulfur dioxide is a colorless gas with a pungent odor produced primarily from the burning of fossil fuel, coal and oil, and the smelting of mineral ores that contain sulfur. It is a major air pollutant and a precursor to acid rain. Major sources are industry, health effects, respiratory, and cardiovascular illness. Cardiovascular illness is a disease affecting the heart and blood vessels. Then the environmental effects. Precursor, it is a substance that leads to the formation to acid rain, which damages lakes, rivers, and trees, damages to cultural artifacts. Then the nitrogen dioxide. Nitrogen dioxide is a reddish brown gas with a characteristic sharp beating odor. It is a significant air pollutant produced by road traffic and other combustion process. Nitrogen dioxide is a part of a group of gases known as uh, nitrogen oxide, that is NOx. The major sources are vehicle industry. Health effects are respiratory and cardiovascular illness. I have already what is cardiovascular illness. This is a disease affecting the heart and blood vessels. Then the environmental effects are contributes to acid rain, smoke and ozone nitrogen depositions leading to over fertilization of ecosystem. Then the particulate matter, I have discussed many times about particulate matter. Let's discuss again. It is a mixture of tiny solid particles and liquid droplets found in the air. It is refers by PM. It can include dust, dirt, soot and smoke. It is classified by size with PM10 and PM2.5 being the most commonly monitored. PM2.5 particles are particularly harmful because they can penetrate deep into the lungs and enter bloodstream. Major sources are vehicle industry. Health effects particles penetrate deep into lungs and can enter bloodstream, causing respiratory and cardiovascular issues. Then the environmental effects are reduces visibility. Then the carbon monoxide. It is a colorless, odorless gas produced by burning carbon-based fuels such as gasoline, natural gas, oil, coal, and wood. It is harmful because it can interfere with the body's ability to transport oxygen. Major sources are vehicle. Health effects, headaches, and fatigue, especially in people with cardiovascular disease, can impair oxygen delivery throughout the body. Environmental, no direct environmental effects listed here. Then the lead, it is a heavy metal that is a toxic to humans. It can release into the air through the burning of leaded gasoline, industrial processes, and the degradations of lead-based paints. Lead exposure can cause serious health problems, particularly in children. The major sources are vehicles. Burning leaded gasoline accumulates over time, damaging the nervous system. Environmental effects on fish and animals, it can kill to fish and animals. Then the ozone, that is O3. It is a gas composed of 3 oxygen atoms. It occurs both in the Earth's upper atmosphere and at ground level. While the ozone layer in the upper atmosphere protects us from the sun ultraviolet rays, grounded level ozone is harmful air pollutant and a key component of smoke. The major sources form from the reactions of nitrogen dioxide and volatile organic compound. Health effects, respiratory illness. Environmental effects, reduces crop productions and forest growth. Smoke precursors means the substances that contribute to the formations of smoke. Okay, smoke precursor. Then the volatile organic compound. Volatile organic compound is a large group of carbon-based chemicals that easily evaporate at room temperature. Volatile organic compounds are emitted by a variety of products including paints, cleaning supplies, pesticide, building materials and furnishings. Some volatile organic compound can cause adverse health effects and contribute to the formations of ground level ozone and smoke. Major sources are vehicle, industrial processes. Health effects, eye and skin irritations, nausea, headaches, carcinogenic, that is the having the potential to cause cancer. Then the environmental effects are smoke precursor. I have already discussed smoke precursor means the substances that contribute to the formations of smoke. Then the air pollution's impacts on people and environment. So air pollution has both acute and chronic effects on human health, affecting a number of different systems and organs. So let's discuss one by one. Sulfur dioxide is the most serious and widespread air pollutants. At lower concentrations, when the amount of sulfur dioxide in the air is relatively low, is a cause of sudden involuntary contractions of muscles in the smooth muscle of bronchiolis. Musculobronchiolis is the smooth muscle surrounding the small airways in the lungs, that is called bronchioles, and its higher concentrations includes increased mucus production. Mucus production is a thick fluid that lines and protects the respiratory passages. It also considered to cause cough, shortness of breath, spasms of the larynx, and acute irritations to the membranes of the eyes. It also acts as an allergenic agent when it reacts with some compounds that are sulfuric acid is formed, which may damage lungs. Then the carbon monoxide often affects the oxygen carrying capacity of blood. Then the nitric oxide, especially nitrogen dioxide, can irritate the lungs, aggravate means the make worse or more severe asthma. Asthma is a chronic respiratory conditions characterized by inflammations and narrowing of the airways leading to difficulty in breathing, or chronic bronchitis, long lasting inflammations of the bronchial tubes causing coughing and mucus productions, and also increased susceptibility, likelihood of being affected to respiratory infections such as influenza or common colds. Mild, not severe viral infections of the upper respiratory tract. Then the lead emitted from automobile exhaust is cumulative poisons and is dangerous particularly to children and may cause brain damage. The particulate pollutants such as asbestos, silica, carbon, beryllium, lead to etc. are capable of exerting a noxious, that is harmful or poisonous. Fibrotic means the causing fibrosis, which is thickening and scarring of tissues, local actions in the in interstitial areas. Interstitial areas is the spaces between the tissues and the lungs of the lungs. Okay. Then the effects on animals. Air pollution affects animals similarly to humans, causing chronic poisoning from the ingestion of forest, means eating food for grazing animals contaminated with pollutants. Fluoride is a chemical causing health issues in high amounts, and arsenic, that is a toxic element exposure, have poisoned livestock in North America causing bone lesions. For plants, pollutions cause widespread damage, costing the US that is $1 to $2 billion annually. Sulfur dioxide destroys vegetation, while airborne fluorides damages leaves and interfere with photosynthesis, the processes by which plants make food, and respiration. Sensitive plants include cotton, wheat, barley, and apple. Then the effects on materials. Air pollutants cause physical and chemical changes in material, leading to their damage and destructions. Corrosions, that means the gradual destructions of material, especially metals, due to chemical reactions. And weathering, that means the breaking down of rocks, soil, and minerals through contact with the Earth's atmosphere, are worsened, made more severe by polluted air. The most destructive air pollutants to material are smoke, grit, dust, and oxides of sulfur. Sulfur dioxide covers to sulfurous and sulfuric acid with moisture, accelerating to corrosion. Metals like iron, steel, aluminum, and copper, as well building materials, are corroded and disfigured. For example, the 1972 opening of an oil refinery at Mathura significantly impacted the Taj Mahal due to the smoke, grit, and soot deposit. Then the effects of air pollution may be broadly result acid rain, global warming, and greenhouse effects. then the ozone depletions, then eutrophication. So let's discuss about. So acid rain, harmful gases like nitrogen oxides and sulfur oxides are released into the atmosphere during the burning of fossil fuel. When it rains, the water droplets combines with these air pollutants becomes acidic and then falls on the ground in the form of acid rain. Acid rain can cause great damage to human, animals and crops. And the global warming and the greenhouse effect. Another direct effects of air pollution is the immediate alterations that the world is witnessing due to global warming, with increased temperature worldwide, increase in sea levels and melting of ice from colder regions, and icebergs displacement and losses of habitat have already signaled an impending disaster if actions for preservations and normalizations are not undertaken soon. Then the greenhouse effect is a natural process that warms the Earth's surface. When sun's energy reaches the Earth, some of it reflected back to space and the rest is absorbed, warming the planet. The Earth then radiates that back towards space. Greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, and water vapor trap some of this heat in the atmosphere, preventing it from escaping into space. This trapped heat keeps the earth warm enough to support life. However, human activities such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation have increased the concentrations of these gases, enhancing the greenhouse effect and leading to global warming and climate change. Then the ozone depletion. Ozone depletion is a gas that occurs both at ground level and in Earth's upper atmosphere, known as the stratosphere. At ground level, ozone is a pollutant that can harm human health. In the stratosphere, however, ozone forms a layer that protects life on Earth from the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays, but this ozone is gradually being destroyed by man-made chemicals referred to, that is ozone depleting substances, including chlorofluorocarbon, hydrochlorofluorocarbon, halogens. These substances were formerly used and sometimes still are used in coalescence forming agents, fire extinguishers, solvent, pesticides, and aerosol propellants. Thinning of the protective ozone layer can cause increased amounts of ultraviolet radiations to reach the earth, which can lead to more cases of skin cancer, cataracts, and impaired immune system. Ultraviolet can also damage sensitive crops such as soybeans and reduce crop yields. Then the eutrophication. Eutrophication is a conditions where high amount of nitrogen presence in some pollutants gets developed on sea surface and turn itself into algae and adversely affects fish, plants, and animal species. The green color algae that is present on lakes and ponds is due to the presence of this chemical only. So these are the air pollution's impacts on environment that I have discussed. Then the global environmental crisis, that is Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster, Bhopal gas tragedy, Minamata disease, Exxon Valdez oil spill. So global Chernobyl nuclear power plant, let's discuss Chernobyl nuclear power plant disaster. On March 24, 1989, 26 lakhs to 75,000 barrels of crude oil, okay, 260,000 to 750,000 barrels of crude oil was spilled in Prince William Sound, that in Alaska, by the oil tanker Exxon Valdez after it ran into Bleak Reef. It is considered to be one of the most devastating human-caused environmental disaster. Immediate effects included the deaths of 1 lakh, as many as 250,000 seabirds, at least 2,800 sea otters, 3,000 harbor seals, 247 bald eagles and 2 orcas and unknown number of salmon and herring. On then okay, on April 26, 1986, a reactor at the Seronile nuclear power plant in Ukraine exploded, releasing massive amounts of radiations. This disaster led to severe health impacts and long-term environmental contaminations. Then, on 26th April 1986, one of the reactors of the nuclear okay then the Bhopal gas tragedy on December, that is happening on December 2, 1984, a gas leak at a pesticides plant in Bhopal, India released toxic methyl isocyanate, resulting in thousands of dead and long-term health effects of the exposed populations. Around midnight on December 2, 1984, an accident at a Union Carbide pesticides plant in Bhopal, India resulted in 45 tons poisonous methylene isocyanate released. Thousands died within hours. In total, about 500,000 people were affected in some way. Many of those who survived blindness, organ failure, and other malfunctions. Then the Minamata disease, it is caused by industrial mercury pollution in Japan. Minamata disease lead to the severe neurological damage and death among affected countries. Then the Exxon Valdez oil spill. In 1989, the Exxon Valdez oil tanker spilled large amounts of crude oil in Alaska, causing extensive damage to marine life and ecosystem. Okay. It is considered to be the one of devastating human-caused environmental disaster. Immediate effects included the deaths of 1 lakh to as many 2,50,000. Then the 2,800. Okay, so this is all about in this slide. I will in the coming video I will discuss more about this global environmental crisis. Then the mitigation strategies, promoting renewable energy, encouraging the use of solar, wind and other renewable energy sources to reduce reliance on fossil fuels. Benefits reduces greenhouse gas emissions and air pollution. Then sustainable agriculture, implementing practices such as crop rotations, organic farming and precision agriculture. Then afforestation and reforestation, planting and restoring degraded forests. It can benefit, increases carbon sequestration, improves biodiversity and protects water resources. Then waste management and recycling, improving waste collections, recycling and composting programs. Benefits, reduces landfill waste, lower pollution and conserves resources. Then the public transportation and green infrastructure, expanding public transportation system and creating green urban spaces. It can reduces air pollution, lower carbon footprint and enhances urban quality of life. Then the public education policy actions, educating the public about environmental issues and encouraging individuals and collective actions to protect the environment, implementing policies and regulations to address environmental degradations. It can benefit, increases public awareness and engagement, promotes sustainable behaviors and ensures regulatory measures to mitigate environmental impacts. Okay, so I have discussed the anthropogenic activities, mainly the impact on environment, that is pollution. So in the coming video, in the next video I am going to discuss the global warming and then greenhouse, their effect, and the acid rain, ozone depletions, standard for air quality index, then for particulate pollution, then the government initiative to control air pollution. these are the references that I have taken the content. So thank you so much.